Hello everyone, welcome back. So today we're going to be just going over a pretty simple orbital calculator. All it really does is find the circular orbit velocity, the orbital period, and the orbital energy per unit mass with just two inputs of your altitude and your mass. So this is written in C, and that's because I typically do things in Python or MATLAB, but I want to move towards C and C++ because I don't typically do all that math in them. So, if you've ever worked with like Arduino, for example, most people's experience with C-related type code, you're kind of familiar with some of this. So first, you gotta include your libraries. And then we go to the constant, so we're just defining a gravitational constant, and then the mass of the Earth, the radius of the Earth in meters, and of course pi. So the first objective is finding the circular orbit velocity. We're assuming a circle in this case. It's very simple math in this case. So it's pretty much we're going to first define r, which is our total radius, and of course that's going to be the total radius of both our orbit and the radius of the Earth. So we need to find our altitude, add that to our radius, and then we find our overall radius. And then for the orbital velocity, it's just the square root of g times the mass of Earth divided by that r. Pretty simple. Then for orbital period, again we find radius. Now we're finding our velocity from the previous calculation. And from that, plugging in our altitude, because again these are just functions that are defined by these variables, but I'll go over that. And then to actually calculate the orbital period, it's just 2 times pi times r divided by velocity. Pretty simple with that. And then orbital energy, so again we find our radius, we find our velocity, and then for kinetic energy, which is moving energy, it's 1/2 times velocity to the power of 2, and C that's just pow parenthesis comma 2, indicating that it's power to the 2. And then potential energy per unit mass is negative g times the mass of Earth divided by that r that we calculated. And of course orbital energy is equal to the sum of kinetic energy plus potential energy. So now we go to the main loop, and basically we just have our example 400 kilometers and 2 kilograms, which is the maximum mass for a 1U CubeSat. So that's our inputs, that's what we change. And then we're just redefining that, yes, velocity, period, and energy is equal to these mini functions at the desired inputs here. Then print, just outputting, and of course we get this calculation, and it does work, it does verify. So that's about all I have. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good one. Bye-bye.